In this video, we're going to show you how to install pads and rotors on your Volvo XC60 located behind your front wheels. Using a 19mm socket, let's loosen and remove the studs. Grab that wheel, remove it, and set it aside. You want to go ahead and start by cranking this wheel out. Now after you crank your wheel out, we can go ahead and remove our anti-rattle clips here. And then normally you can use a flathead screwdriver, and you can push this, pry this up and out. Just like so. Now I'm going to use the same screwdriver and I'm going to put it inside the vent of the brake rotor between the caliper bracket and the caliper itself. That's going to lock our rotor from spinning. Now your brake rotor is normally going to be held in place right here by this T50 Torx bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and use my ratchet here, and by turning it you can see that the screwdriver is locking that rotor in place. And go ahead, loosen and remove this. Now what I'm going to do is, normally you can remove it. I'm going to leave it here because when we pull everything else off, we don't want this rotor just to fall off. So you can loosen this, but leave it in place for now. Go ahead and remove your screwdriver. Now on the back side of your caliper here, you're going to locate these two plastic caps. There's one here, one on the top. Go ahead and pop those out. Inside is going to be a 9mm Allen, and there you could just Allen wrench. I'm using my ratchet for this. And we want to go ahead and loosen these. You should get to a point where you can get these to come out a little bit. You don't want to remove them, but you can pull them outside of the rubber boot just a little bit. So I'm kind of pulling on that Allen a little bit at an angle. You can see I'm pulling these out. You want to go ahead and take our caliper and pull it out. And it may not just pop off, so you can use a flathead screwdriver or pry bar between the caliper and the bracket. Make sure your pins are out. Now before you plop this off here, highly recommend you're going to grab your hook here. This is to support and hang the caliper up and out of the way. If you don't have this here, you can use a securing strap. Once you pull this off, we're going to support this and hang it off of our strut assembly. And before we hang this, I'm going to go ahead and pull your brake pad out from the outside portion. You can keep the inner one there. We're going to use our compressor tool. What this is going to do is it's going to push our pistons back into the caliper. So you want to go ahead and do this slowly. You can slowly see those retracting in. Okay. Now this inboard pad is held in with clips. Pop it out and pull those little spring clips out. And you want to go ahead and secure this up and out of the way. The reason why you want to do this is that you don't want the caliper to pull and hang on this flex hose. You can damage this flex hose if you let it go and hang. So you can use that support hook that I had shown you. whatever you have to go ahead and hang this. With the caliper hanging and supported, we now want to remove our caliper bracket. There are two 18mm bolts. I'm going to go ahead and loosen and remove these. I like to loosen and remove the lower one completely first. Let that upper bolt hold and hang that caliper bracket. Hold on to that caliper bracket with one hand, remove that other bolt, and then pull off the bracket and set it aside. With the bracket removed, we can now remove our rotor. So let's remove that Torx bit screw here. Set that aside because we'll be reusing that. Now I want to remove that rotor. Now our rotor is stuck to our wheel hub. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take one of these studs and pop it on just a few threads. I'm going to use a heavy hammer and strike the back of the rotor. With the rotor removed, we want to go ahead and clean the hub surface here of any rust and debris. If you don't take care of this here, there's a possibility when you install the new rotor it won't sit flush, and you can end up with a brake pedal pulsation because the brake rotor is not sitting flat up against the wheel hub, and it's going to wobble, and it's going to transmit into your brake pads and up into that brake pedal. So make sure this hub is clean. Now, if you find you have a little bit of excessive rust around the hub lip here itself, you can go ahead and use some sandpaper. This here is a 240 grit. And go ahead and clean that rust up. Now, we're not here to remove any metal. It's just to clean up that rust. Then once you're all done with that, give it a spray with a spray solvent and clean it up. I'm going to use some spray anti-seize compound on our hub face. Go ahead and grab your new rotor. Line that up. Now, a couple things to note here. This is an EDP coated rotor. It does not need to be cleaned. It has a coating on it and it protects it. So if yours comes and it does not have this coating on it and it has an oil coating, you want to go ahead and use some spray solvent, clean off all of that oil on those brake rotors. Now line up that recessed hole here with your Torx bit screw. Now, for any reason, if your vehicle does not have this Torx bit screw, it is not critical to the operation of the brakes. It's simply there from the factory to hold the brake rotors on during assembly down the assembly line. This does not have to be super tight. Go ahead and take your screwdriver. Go ahead and pop it into one of those vanes and just snug that down gently. Let's go ahead and clean and prep our caliper bracket. I'm going to go ahead and start with a bristle brush, and right where the brake shoes actually fit, or brake pads, you want to go ahead and clean this. You can see all that old brake dust and road grime come off. Now, I always recommend doing this in a well-ventilated area. Try not to breathe in this brake dust and all this garbage. Now, it's okay if you have a little bit of rust in there, go ahead and use a flat file, something with you can use a curved edge on the other side. But what you want to do is just Go ahead and clean up the rusty surface there. Go ahead and run that down on the inside, clean up any rust that's scaled up. Now we're not here to remove metal, we're here to remove the rust. Periodically spray it down with some solvent. Flip it over to the other side. We're going to repeat that process over here. Look at all that garbage coming out of it. That's going to cause your brake pads to stick and not to retract properly. Take your time when doing this here. The end result is going to be that much better. You don't want to rush it. Sometimes you can just slap pads in there, and that's not always the best idea. All right, our caliper bracket is ready for installation. Go ahead and take your bracket. I'm going to go ahead and get that upper bolt started a few threads. Once you have that caught, you can go ahead and let it go, let it support itself. Grab that other bolt for the bottom, line that up, wiggle that into place. I like to run these in as far as I can by hand. We want to go ahead and torque these down to 148 foot-pounds. Now we're going to remove our securing strap off of our caliper. Bring this down. Now you want to take note of the condition on the inside of your caliper. You want to make sure that there is no rust on the inside here where the pad is going to meet. Ours is in good shape, and also check the pistons themselves as well. Give those a quick wipe down. Make sure that the rubber boots or the seals around the pistons are in good shape. If they are torn, you need to replace the caliper. But ours is in good shape. Go ahead and take your inboard pad. I'm going to line that up. And you're going to press those clips in, the springs. Kind of a chore right here to do that, but go and line that up. And pop that in. Spin that around, make sure that's in the proper location. We're going to take our outboard pad, and we're going to slide this into the caliper bracket. It just kind of fits inside the grooves, and it'll just kind of set in place. You're going to take your caliper, slide it over. At this point here, go ahead and take your Allen, and I like to use the upper one first. Line that up, and you might have to move that caliper around a little bit, and go ahead and start to thread that in by hand. Switch over to our ratchet. Now, if you notice, we did not apply any grease to the slides where the brake pads go. That's because that will attract dirt, and it'll stick in, and it's going to cause those brake pads to bind up. Now what you want to do is take that caliper on the base and pivot that out a little bit so you can get that lower slide pin to line up. All right, once those are bottomed out, snug them down gently. Now you want to torque these down to 21 foot-pounds. Go ahead and take your plastic caps, line those up. Pop those into place. You want to install your anti-rattle clip here. I'm going to go ahead and get the upper one installed. I'm going to swing this down. Use a pair of pliers. Bend that down a little bit and push that upper one in. There it is. Now you want to go ahead and repeat this process for the driver's side. Once you're all done, you want to go ahead and hop in and pump up the brakes. That brake pedal is going to go to the floor probably the first 2 to 3 times until you start to feel it come up and get firm. What's happening is the brake fluid is coming through and pushing the pistons in, compressing onto the rotor. Go ahead and grab your wheel. Line that up on the hub. What I prefer to do is take the stud, put it inside the socket, line up your wheel, and go ahead and get that started. Once you get one started, you can normally go ahead and position the wheel to get the others going. Once you have all these started, I'm going to go ahead and gently snug these down. Let's go ahead and torque down our lug nuts to 103 foot-pounds. Now when doing this here, it's best if we do a star or crisscross pattern. And you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.